All right. Here we are. It is Gateway Advantage with my friend Ted Bogert, and I'm David Washington. Hello, Ted. How are you?
I'm great, David. How you doing?
I am doing great. Thank you very much.
Excited
And
to be back for
yeah,
episode 2.
yes, indeed. I am so excited. And as we were saying off screen, there's so much going on and so many moving parts that I really can't wait to start talking to our community that much more about what we're doing. It's just phenomenal. It's a great time.
It is just such the timing of what we're doing and the short and long term impact of what
Mhm.
we have going on. I just think for me it's mind blowing and it's exciting. Like I wake up in the morning, I'm like, wow, we are really going to change a lot of our world.
I agree, Ted, with everything that's happening in our world as far as technology, the competition out there, the will to get that edge, and what we're creating and the platform that we're presenting it on will give our viewers and everyone else who's interested an opportunity to participate in the innovations, particularly in AI, the
Yes.
innovations that are out there, and that as entrepreneurs, business owners, if you're in politics, as candidates or electeds, this is the opportunity. This is the opportunity. And we want to bring that to our friends and family and influencers and everyone else here in Central Florida and beyond.
We really do. And I feel like politicians, people who want to, or public servants or want to be a public servant, you should absolutely pay attention every week to what we're talking about, because as we get closer and closer to revealing more details, you're going to want to be on the front end of that for sure.
Indeed, Ted. And to make it a little bit easier to not only introduce our our prospective audiences to one another, but to grow our network moving forward, we should tell our audience a little bit about ourselves. For those of us who don't know you or don't know me, a little short interview of one another and let them know they're in good hands.
Yes, so I love being interviewed. I don't get to be interviewed very
Yes.
often. I That's my fault. I would like to be on more podcasts, and I should make that a 2025 goal. But
Yes.
yeah, I'm excited for you to ask me questions and for me to ask you questions.
Well, the first question that I do have is I have to have you on one of my podcasts, and I think Ground Zero Florida will be great. It's a iteration of our flagship podcast. You can make this shit up, which we've done for 2 years, but we want to be more mature. And granted, that show was very mature. We had a host of guests and topics that we discussed, but kind of be more Florida centered and let people know that whether it's politics or uh, culture, finances, whatever. Florida is ground zero for a lot of things. And so we changed the title, and we're about 3 episodes into that show. And we'll love to have you on the Ground
I
Zero
would
Florida
love it. I would
or the
love
David Washington shows. So
it.
we'll love that. We'll schedule that. So my first question is that what what is it about Ted Bogert that makes you exceptional, so special to the Central Florida community? You are known everywhere. And I like my audiences to know who is Ted Bogert?
Wow. Okay, so you had a few minutes to think about this, huh?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I've been thinking about it. I've got my
Well, I
questions.
gotta give you kudos for pronouncing my name right, because so many people do not. They pronounce it Bogart, and there's no A in it. I'm like, you're not even old enough to know who Humphrey Bogart was to make the reference, but thank you for saying Ted Bogart rhymes with yogurt. Um,
Yes.
I grew up here mostly. I feel like I have my roots here. I've been here since I was 11, and I really have been enmeshed in the community ever since. I went to middle school, junior high. I graduated from Colonial High School. I got my bachelor's and master's from UCF. Always been like a networker, super involved on campus at UCF. And I just was able to parlay that into business, which was interesting because I never, even though I got a business degree, a finance degree, I really was working in nonprofits, which is where my passion for nonprofits comes from.
Okay, great.
And that's where I kind of built my whole thought process on giving back to the community.
That's excellent. Because a lot of individuals that I've interviewed for my various podcasts, when we have those off-camera conversations, we do hear your name come up often, and it's just amazed me. And I've known you for some time now, for years, and you've been very welcoming to me and those individuals that I have worked for in the political space and interviewed them. What is it that has made you the person, the show, the TED show, the place to be for many of our local influencers?
It's interesting. It didn't start out that way. It'll be 8 years in August. We're over 2,000 episodes. Super blessed. It started out really me just wanting to showcase and spotlight people. And then it's become its own thing. It's got a life of its own. And I feel like because the interviews aren't prepped, because the whole purpose is to spotlight the other person instead of me spending all the time talking about me and asking the person who's the guest only a little bit about themselves, I feel like people feel comfortable and they feel like it's a safe place to share. I also don't do the Jerry Springer kind of show where I'm looking for ways to hurt you or embarrass you or question you, which is why most of the local politicians and public servants have felt comfortable being on the show. So I create a very safe space for you to share. And the whole point of the sharing is positive and journey and really motivating and inspiring people. So I feel like people want to be on a podcast like that where they can actually be showcased in a positive light. I never throw any punches. There's never any surprise questions that are negative. Believe me, I've had handlers come and watch me interview certain politicians and big CEOs to make sure that I keep my word. But I feel like we created a safe place and a positive place, and that's why people have responded to it the way they have.
You definitely have, Ted. And speaking of journey, this show, Gateway Advantage, is named after Ted's Gateway. And I remember first getting involved with you and Ted's community years ago, and now it's even more so Ted's Gateway. Tell us a little bit about Ted's Gateway.
So the concept for Ted's community came up, and I have to give the credit to Claude, our partner. He had the brainchild to call it that because I don't have that much of an ego to call it Ted's community. We threw it in there. But it was because I'm so active and involved in the community. And the initiative has always been sort of the same. We want to grow our communities in a positive way and give people a second chance and give them an opportunity, no matter whether they want to be in politics or business or entrepreneurship or do whatever it is that they want to do, nonprofit. And so Ted's community was the idea was very collaborative and very far reaching because it starts in our community, but we obviously had plans and have plans to grow that into other communities. And then as we progressed very recently, we realized community was a little bit limiting. So we changed the name to Gateway because what we're doing and the things that we're creating and the opportunities that we haven't even thought of that we're creating will create a gateway for people to grow in their community, grow in their nonprofit, grow in their business, whatever it is, whatever dream they have. We have the ability to be the gateway to it.
Awesome. Excellent. All right. So we know a little bit more about Ted Bogert. Now,
my turn.
something.
You're going to ask me that personal question. All right.
Oh yeah, I got that gotcha question, which is not necessarily a gotcha question. Um, however, what tell us something that both your audience and my audience, now our audience, don't know about you that you would love to share.
Oh, wow. God, there's so much. I mean, I feel like I live my life on social media. I'm incredibly transparent. Don't really hold back on my social media, but I would say um, most people don't know that I can sing. Like,
Okay.
is that the answer you were looking for? I mean, that's the first thing I think of when I think of what don't people know about me. But I can sing. I sang at my own reception. I sang at my daughter's wedding at First Presbyterian. And I'm not the kind where you're closing your eyes and you're hoping to God it's over soon. I actually can carry a tune. I love music, and so I was blessed with a I'll say an above average voice, but certainly not in the arena of going completely public with it. But I can sing, and I love music.
Awesome. That's awesome, Ted. I'm not going to put you on
Oh,
the
good.
spot.
Not this time. You could try
Not
next
this time.
time. I
Next
actually got a
time.
little dry just thinking about. I'm like, don't ask me to sing.
When we interviewed last year, Representative Rachel Plakin, uh, and she told us that she loves singing. We brought that up in the interview, and she sang a couple lines from "God Bless America" for
I
us,
love it. That's
and
awesome.
it was awesome. It was awesome. So
That's
okay, that's all of my questions.
good. You had time to prep. Here's the normal Ted who does no prep. No, I want my audience to get to know you because you have such a and I'll preface it before I ask questions. To me, you have such a kind and generous, incredibly generous heart and spirit, and I know that that is such a unique quality in the political arena that you have enmeshed yourself in.
Oh yes,
And so I feel like that is a value that you bring to that community that a lot of people in it do not have. So
that's true.
big kudos to you for that. All right. So for
Thank
my
you.
audience, tell them a little bit about you. David Washington, you have podcasts, you have a consulting firm. I know you do a lot of stuff, but at least give them an idea of what it is you do and maybe a little bit of how you got there.
Sure. Well, how I got to where I am now, I've been involved in and out of politics since I was 17 years old. Back on the southeast side of Chicago, I worked for a state rep as an intern, and then as one of his employees as a legislative aide. And the Balinoff family, Clem Balinoff, Representative Clem Balinoff at the time, and I consider him my original political godfather. And the Balinoff family were my political family. And I learned on the southeast side of Chicago that politics is a blood sport. So to kind of speak to what you were saying, Ted, I wasn't always this very calm and um, good political. And I learned a lesson that what really mattered to everyone was what their kitchen table issues are,
Yes.
and addressing those kitchen table issues by our politicians has been something that has always been forefront in my practice here in Florida with Jay in Washington for 30 odd years, in and
Wow.
out of politics, working on various campaigns from senatorial campaigns to aldermanic campaigns and everything in between. I organized for SEIU Local 1 in our effort back in Illinois to unionize managers and supervisors. And we were successful. However, the managers and supervisors decided to go with ASME at the time. However, the end goal we achieved. And so over time, I learned that politics does have an important part in our in our lives. However, more important is civic engagement. It's
Yes.
the constituents, the voters, our collective demographic actually being involved, actually being aware of why politics is important. And so I push that to this day and being involved in local organizations, community organizations, advisory boards, and of course, through my practice, Jay in Washington, making sure that we do provide the best people with the best ideas representing their communities as electeds, as candidates, and as community leaders.
Beautiful. I mean, it doesn't sound at all like you've been in politics for a long time. That was a very beautiful, passionate discussion about why it's important to you and what you do. What do you think about what we're doing on Ted's Gateway? Why are you involved? What is the impetus there? Why did you get involved? And what are you bringing as far as your knowledge and your background to the table so that people understand why you're working with Ted's Gateway?
Thank you, Ted. And great question. I remember when Ted's Gateway was Ted's community and being involved at that time. And that was a year or two before the pandemic. And just all the ideas come together about virtual community, helping businesses, nonprofits come together and create better communities in real life. And that was the inception of different ideas, the token that we've been talking about, creating a network of professionals here in Florida the first, and then spreading outward, supporting the publishing of books, podcasts, a whole bunch of things, creating nonprofits. And I really love the idea that there was a space in there for me as far as civic engagement, as I
Yes,
stated before.
I
And
love it.
so, the pandemic threw everything off. And then having the opportunity to come back to you and Claude and everyone else and see that the dream did not die with the pandemic.
Yes.
And with the resources, the knowledge, and the experience that I've been able to gather since the pandemic about having better strategies for civic engagement, for politics, for winning elections, I feel even more confident and more capable of providing more to Ted's Gateway as far as his virtual community and the mission of making sure that we take care of one another, we take
Yes.
care of our communities, and we bring everyone up. And I'm fascinated, even more so. I'm that much more excited about Ted's Gateway than I was before the pandemic because I've learned so much and stayed in communication with Claude, with you, with Donna, et cetera, and see that there is a community, a stronger community since those formative years that I've been involved.
Beautiful. One last question for you, personal one.
Yes.
I like to ask this on my show because I love to hear what the response is. I never know what I'm going to get. When I say the word hero to you, who's the first person who comes to mind?
Oh, my dad.
All right, I think we've talked about this, but I want my audience to hear it. Tell me why your dad.
Well, my dad, and he passed away approximately 10 years ago. It'll be 11 years this October, just before my mother's birthday. And my mom and dad have been together, until he passed away. They're still together. And my dad was a role model that I always had pushed back against. And he was very strong in his masculinity. Very brilliant man. He was a chemist. He became a director with the Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago in Chicago, Illinois. Very wise, athletic, and he always demanded more from my brother and I. And he said to me one day after I decided that I did not want to be in the honors algebra class, he's like, David, do you want to be a big fish among smaller fish or a big fish among bigger fish? And I was like, well, Dad, is there going to be enough food for me among the big fish? He just looked at me. He's like, only you, David, only you. And I've got many more things like that. But he was humorous. He had a very serious, dry sense of humor. And it was hard loving him because he was a parent and not a friend. And he was always concerned about the well being of my brother and I. And after he passed away, I've had conversations with my mom about my dad, of course, and my brother and I upbringing. And she would tell me things that I just did not know. And it just put him in such a more adult in adult frame, a different light. And I love him that much more, despite all the pushback growing up. It wasn't until I was in my 40s that I was able to say to my dad, hug him, kiss him on the cheek, and say, Dad, I love you.
Yes.
And the lessons that I learned, even though the pushback, I apply them today. And with his guidance, his love, and of course with my mom, he's made my brother and I good people.
Love it. That is a amazing testimony and a fantastic answer to that question.
Thank you. Thank
All
you.
right,
Thank
so now voila, now we know David Washington.
you. Yes.
At least a little bit.
Yes, indeed. With all the podcasts that I do, and the episodes is mostly based in politics. There's not that opportunity that I've had to, share a little bit more about me. There's a little bit that I've kind of share depending on the topic of a particular podcast episode. However, I love hearing people's stories
Me
and,
too.
and understanding that there's a lot of things that we're alike in, and it's those things that I want to make sure that people know we're much alike, and we do have our differences, but there are so many things that bring us together.
Agreed. I agree. I think we have much more similarities than we want to admit. And
Mhm.
so it's an interesting world that we're living in right now, which is why our projects that we're working on, because
Yeah.
they are so positive and there's so much positive, good use for them. That's why I'm excited about it, because I can't even see all of it. I can envision up to a point, but because of technology and
Mhm.
every day it seems like there's something new that we're rolling out or pulling
Yeah.
in or addressing or trying to find a solution for. It's just exciting. It's exciting to wake up
Yeah.
every morning and go, wow, we can do that. That's amazing.
I know, Ted. I've seen some of the formulas and algorithms that Claude has shared with us in regards to the projects that are before us, and I'm like, wow, wow, wow. A lot of it just goes above, just above me. However,
Me too, my friend. I've got the finance degree, and that doesn't help me one iota.
it's just amazing what we are able to do, and the promise of what could be. Oh my goodness, I sound like a political candidate now. What
I mean, you've practiced for how long? I'm surprised you have not won.
Woo! I do get that. I like to be the king and queen maker and be behind the scenes instead of in the forefront.
Same, same,
Uh,
same.
but Ted, wow, I am so excited about this opportunity with you, with Claude, and everyone else. Sometimes I just go to bed like, oh my God, wow, I got this idea. Oh my goodness. I get an email from you or from Ted. It's like, oh wow, another concept. This is
Yep.
great. How can I stay ahead of the curve?
And the
It's
great thing
amazing.
is that our partners are open to the ideas. Like we
Yeah.
just throw things. I feel like sometimes because I've seen it somewhere, I've seen it on social media. I'm like, I know we can do better. And I know I'm not sure when we're wrapping up, but I do want to say one thing. If you've done the research on what a token is, and you've done any research on what recently has been in the news about tokens, Or if you are a believer in that in the past and you have a great knowledge, we'd love to hear from you.
Oh,
So
please.
we'd love for you to reach out to me or David, and because this is going to be absolutely life changing. I believe that wholeheartedly. And so if you have any kind of interest in a token, please reach out to us. And right now we just have to be incredibly little detail, but if you do your own research and you're really interested, reach out.
I agree, Ted. Please, everyone, reach out to Ted or myself. We have been involved in the creation of something wonderful and for years now. And with more and more information, with the regulatory climate becoming more amicable to the creation of tokens and utility and value that could be included in these things. I have a wealth of documents and podcasts and books that I've been reading and listening to that I'm more than willing to share and help you all on this
Yes.
journey and educate yourselves. So please reach out, as Ted said, reach out.
Yes. And if you have questions, things you want us to talk about each week, anything that has to do with, make sure you follow Ted's Gateway on social media, follow David, follow me. You have something that you'd like to talk about once you see what's going on at Ted's Gateway and the stuff that David and I have been sharing and talking about. We'd love to hear from you. And we would love to talk about it and kind of include it into the podcast each week. We want community involvement. We want, as David said, civic engagement. And this is going to be the place, I feel like, where civic engagement is going to really be able to flourish. So help flourish. So I really want to encourage you all to get involved and ask us anything.
Indeed. And please expect more from us. This is our second episode. Please look for us on all the major socials, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, X. We're going to be there. And this content will be out weekly. The long form interview like today will be out weekly. We'll have short form content throughout the week based on our interviews, based on the content that we produce in that long form. So yes, please give us a like, a share, hit the notification button. And more importantly, as Ted said, comment. We'd love to hear what you have to say and share your thoughts, share your ideas, and any recommendations that you may have for us.
Yes. Perfectly said, my friend. Perfectly said.
All right. Ted, again, thank you so much. This
Thank
has
you, my
been
friend.
wonderful. We'll talk about what to expect for our next broadcast.
Looking forward to it.
Excellent, Ted. We'll see you the next time.
Thanks. You too, David.
You're welcome.